Hi, this is Nick Forster. This week in eTown, we're going to revisit one of our favorite shows, and it starts right now.
Live from eTown Hall in the foothills of the Rocky Mountains, it's eTown with this week's guests from Portland, Oregon, Anna Tivel, our award winner, Mark Dibner, and from Los Angeles, California, Citizen Cope. I'm Helen Forster. Join me now and welcoming, if you would, our host, Nick Forster.
Thank you, Helen. Thanks, everybody. Welcome to eTown Hall. Citizen Cope, Anna Tivel. This is going to be good. So for a while, we can put our phones down. We can skip the news feed and the stump speeches and the impeaches and all the stuff that's going on. We can just hang out together and listen to some music, because that's kind of what art does. It connects us, cuts through the noise, and that's what artists do. They soak up what's going on around them, and they filter it all through their own skills and their talents, and they bring it back to us. What separates the good ones is they can see things a little sooner or a little more clearly than the rest of us. We got some good ones with us this week. Anna Tivel is one of those songwriters who somehow manages to get inside the story so deeply that we end up feeling exactly what these characters must be feeling in her songs. It's kind of amazing. And of course, Citizen Cope has been doing this for decades, 20 years. Observing, absorbing, reflecting his experience through his music. He was an early and pretty unique voice when he started. It's been a long time since he's been here at eTown. I think it was back in 2004, the first time he was here. But it was really cool to just get to see what he was doing, kind of combining the sounds of the South with the sounds of the city, the folky and the rapper and the hip hop with the acoustic guitar, and it all kind of came out just like him. And that's why Santana and Richie Havens and Sheryl Crow and Eric Clapton and many others got really excited about his music, either wanted to collaborate or cut his songs. So, as I say, it's been a long time since he's been here, and we're really happy that he's back. Please welcome back to eTown, Citizen Cope.
New River. For somebody to share it with. I found this brand new light, something within me all of my life. There's so much trouble in the world, surrounded by miracles. There's so much hatred undeserved, but it will not work, 'cause still our love will be received. Better yet still, my heart is in need of release. Yeah, still our love will be received. Better yet still, my heart is in need of release. Ain't about justice, and it's not about what was, what is. And it's not about what's left, and it's not about the next step. Whoa. I found this brand new riff, looking for somebody to pay it with. I found this brand new light, something within me all of my life. There's so much trouble in the world, surrounded by miracles. There's so much hatred undeserved, but it will not work, 'cause still our love will be received. Better yet still, my heart is in need of release. Yeah, still our love will be received. Better yet still, our love is in need of release. It ain't about justice, and it's not about what was, what is. And it's not about what's left, and it's not about the next step. It ain't about justice, and it's not about what was, what is. And it's not about what's left, and it's not about the next step. It ain't about justice, and it's not about what was, what is. Well, it's not about what's there, but it's not about the next step. But still, our love will be received. Better yet still, my heart is in need of release. Yeah, still, our love will be received. Better yet still, our heart is in need of release.
Clarence Greenwood, Citizen Cope, welcome back to eTown. Good to have you here.
Thank you.
I'm sure you remember the first time you were here was 15 years ago or something. I think Steve Earle was on the show when you were here the last time. So
Yeah, I think we did a rendition of
a reggae tune, maybe a Toots tune, I think.
For the finale?
Yeah.
You remember more than I do at this point. But a lot has happened since that time that, you were here, and I know that I mentioned when I was introducing you that so many people got turned on to your music. It's pretty cool to think about the variety, Richie Havens or Carlos Santana or Sheryl Crow or Eric Clapton, all these people that want to hang out with you and either cut your songs or just work with you. And you can't see that when you start. You're just doing your thing.
Yeah, the whole thing with Carlos wanting to put Sideways on his record, Shaman, was an amazing thing to happen. At the time, my record was put out by DreamWorks, but it was, moving extremely slowly. And that's a very nice way to put that the record was flopping.
Yeah.
And that really helped me personally because it gave me a boost of confidence to know that I was on that record. I really felt like that song was important. And the fact that he heard it was a blessing.
Yeah. So it's funny, the first song on the record is the only song in the history of music that's ever been written about an entree called duck confit.
Is that true?
I can't imagine there's another one. In your own way, of course, once again, you're a pioneer without knowing it. Yeah. But in that song, yeah, you're taking on, power politics and guns and religion, and it's all in there. You're all just looking at all the issues.
Yeah, I mean, I've been writing poetry for a while. I never really wrote poetry with my songs because the songs usually kind of came from the guitar and the melody, or the lyrics did. And then I started writing poems when I was on the plane and stuff like that. And it turned out to be important. I thought it was a good piece to start the record with.
Yeah. Among the other things that have changed in your life since your first time at eTown, you lost your dad, but you have a daughter who's now...
Yes.
And so having a daughter must make you even more aware of all this stuff around you, especially the stuff, things like climate change, where it's a longer game, but it's more relevant now. You've got somebody else's life to think of.
Yeah, I mean, you see the legacy, what your true legacy is, I guess, when you realize the importance of... Because I never realized having a child would be so enlightening.
Yeah. Yeah. If you were to, I don't know if you ever have you ever latched onto a particular cause or a particular issue that you wanted to play benefits for or lend your name to a very specific issue?
Yeah, we give $1 a ticket away to a charity called Turnaround Arts, which deals with young people in the arts, and it was started as a Michelle Obama initiative at the White House and then moved over to the Kennedy Center. We also work with a group of young people that is called All Our Kids, and I've worked with some dealing with prostitution and trafficking in the past. It's kind of like a variety of stuff. I don't have my own foundation set up yet, which I'm trying to do, but I'll give it to that foundation so that they can distribute it and work with a middle school in Minnesota called Red Lake. It's a Native American reservation there. And so it's kind of spread out. It's not really singular.
Yeah, that's so great.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I think we're all glad that you decided to do music.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Thanks. Let's get that back to more. Welcome back, Clarence Greenwood, Citizen Cope.
straw. See, she came from Venus, and he came from afar. They robbed the shop, and he punched the cop, and he ran off in a car. Man, he can't defend it, but it wasn't built that way. So light a spliff and keep it lit and sit and witness judgment day. Thief for Monte Carlo isn't really who you blast. So get up close and get up close. We can both learn from the past. Yeah, the moonlit, the Pacific, on the Caribbean star, on the Caribbean sky, on the Caribbean star. Yeah, the moonlit, the Pacific, on the Caribbean star, on the Caribbean sky, on the Caribbean star. He made his grand appearance in this wedding-colored man. He made it to the States somehow, someone got him a pass. If I was in the building when the band of villains froze, but I was at the window that once open, I was closed. And then if they just thought they go and break the mold. So Wonder Woman's bracelets got them losing their control. Or you could really love her or just want her for a rest. They say that man, he knew the truth, so true they want him dead. Yeah, the moonlit, the Pacific, on the Caribbean star, on the Caribbean sky, on the Caribbean star. Yeah, the moonlit, the Pacific, on the Caribbean star, on the Caribbean sky, on the Caribbean star. Yeah, the moonlit, the Pacific, on the Caribbean star, on the Caribbean sky, on the Caribbean star.
Citizen Cope, Clarence Greenwood, along with Preston Crump on the bass, Steve Vidayach on the keys and guitar and vocals, Jay Nichols on the drums, Chris Townsend on the keys and samples. The record is called Heroin and Helicopters, out on Rainwater Records. They'll be back to play some more music later on.
This portion of eTown is made possible by the Bohemian Foundation, building stronger communities through the bohemian qualities of creativity and imagination. On the web at bohemianfoundation.org. As a reminder, for your viewing pleasure, there are over 2,000 videos on the eTown YouTube channel, where you can also subscribe in order to stay up to date with our latest offerings. You're listening to eTown.
I'm Nick Forster. You're listening to eTown. Citizen Cope is going to be back later on in the show. And coming up, a great singer and songwriter from Portland, Oregon, Anna Tivel, is here. But before Anna comes out every week, we get to recognize somebody who's done something spectacular in their hometown. So spectacular, in fact, that someone in their neighborhood decided to share their story with us, and then we get in turn to share it with you guys. These are stories of individual efforts to make things better that always add up. And we get to recognize these people through the Achievement Award. And here comes Helen to tell you about this week's winner.
Thank you, Nick. This week's story starts with an online purchase. Years ago, Mark Dibner of Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina, liked to browse on eBay. One day, he found a motherboard on that site for $8. Impulsively, he bought it. Now, his 13-year-old son, Ned, needed a computer, so as a father-son project, Mark thought they could use that motherboard to try to build a computer. Well, they did. It was such a success that young Ned said they should do more. That turned out to be a suggestion that led to an incredible change in direction for both of them, leading to tons of waste being saved from the landfill while helping a lot of kids succeed in school. Now, Mark is here to tell us more, so please welcome this week's Achievement Award winner, Mark Dibner of Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina.
Welcome. Thanks for coming out from North Carolina to be with us.
Thanks for having me.
That was a cool introduction that Helen gave you, and I'm curious, you and your son Ned made that first computer. Did either of you know what the heck you were doing? Did you have experience building computers before you started?
Not at all. I was a neuropharmacologist at the time, drugs in the brain and things like that. And we didn't even know what a motherboard was, literally, at the time when we bought it. But we found a website online that said, here are the 10 steps it would take to build a computer. We did it, and he turned to me and he said, Dad, there's a lot of kids in my school who can't afford a computer. Let's build some more this summer.
Wild. Did that first one, was that Ned's computer? Is that one that he actually used?
That was the one he actually used.
Yeah. And then he discovered how cool it was, and then very mature of him to think, man, there's other kids who could have this experience that I'm having but can't afford it.
Well, certainly when a teenager says something like that, you listen. And, it was great.
Yeah, that's so cool. And so you decided to make more. So how did you get started? What's the first step you take? I'm always curious about that.
Well, the first step was to figure out if we were going to make some more, who would they go to? And we talked with his principal, and we discussed that it should be kids who work hard in school. They're not going to get a computer and then sell it or something.
Right.
And they cannot have a computer in their homes. And it turned out, very interestingly, Ned was inducted in the Junior National Honor Society, so we said, let's start with those. Those kids must work hard in school. And we went to every one, and they all had a computer in their home. Tells you something right there.
Yeah.
So we went down to the A and then the A and B honor roll, and there were 42 kids in his school, and that became our goal, to make 42 computers in our basement and our dining room. Sort of moved into the kitchen until my wife moved us out of there. But we did that, and then all kinds of interesting things happened after that.
Yeah. How long does it take to make a computer from pieces and parts?
I would say it takes an hour or less.
Wow.
There's only about 10 parts. If you get old used computers, a lot of parts are interchangeable. Hard drive from one will fit a hard drive from a different brand, things like that.
Wow.
And you're able to just take them all apart and then have these piles of parts and put them all together again.
That's so wild.
And somebody heard about what we were doing. It got in the local newspaper. People started calling me saying, I'm a geek or I'm a nerd. It's one or the other. And I'd like to come help you with this project. So I moved into my office of the company that I ran, and we did that for a while, and we got more and more people helping us. And then also I decided to get the computers to do the 42. We had to get the basic parts and things. So I was a small business owner there in Research Triangle Park. Called my friends who were also small business owners, and they all had computers sitting in their closets and in their conference rooms.
That they had decided to retire or upgrade in one way or another.
Oh yeah, and when the article came out in the newspaper, somehow it mentioned what street we lived on, and for
Everybody's dropping their computers
up. For a whole year,
up.
I would get home and there'd be computers without a sign on or anything on my back porch. And so we knew that there were plenty of pieces out there.
Yeah.
And then lots of companies wanted to support us as well.
Yeah.
And we got a Department of Defense level wipe for hard drives, and those that we can't wipe because they don't work or they're too old, we shred them.
Yeah.
So
that data is
to go
secure.
through that.
Yeah.
So moving on to today, I mean, in 2018, the 42 computers is now 34,000.
34,000 computers.
That we've given.
Yeah.
About 80% of them have gone to kids. We're now also giving them to adults who are less fortunate.
That's so great.
Yeah.
So you must have a bunch of volunteers or other people who are coming in and helping you with all this.
Oh, yes. North Carolina has 100 counties. We've been in 83 counties as far as giving out computers.
Oh, wild. Well, Mark, let's talk about one other piece of this, which is the recycling and the landfill part. So,
sure.
So the idea that this material is not just hard to dispose of because of a privacy issue, but because of a toxicity and because of just the fact that this is plastic and metal and it just winds up in a landfill. So the impact you must have had by diverting all those computers from a landfill is pretty substantial, right?
Yeah. Last year, we brought in 14,000 computers. We were able to give away about 3,400 of those. That means the rest had to be recycled. And we work with professional recyclers, so they don't go into the local landfills. They get properly recycled. And we recycled 220,000 pounds last year of e-waste properly through our recyclers.
That's amazing. So that's almost 250,000 pounds or something like that. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations to you, Mark, and to Ned for just basically having a great idea, but also seeing it through and enlisting. You know, you have the experience, but you enlisted the help that you needed at the right time. And obviously this huge, huge difference you've made in so many people's lives. I can't imagine how many people have been affected by the work, but I imagine it's a big number. Because one computer in a household means 3, 4, 5, 6 people can have access to the internet that they didn't have before.
The one time I looked, it was 4.2 people per household. So if you take 34,000 and you multiply that by 4. We've possibly helped well over 100,000 people.
That's great. And last thing, Mark, is does Kramden Institute have a website where people can go and look? And
Oh, yes. It's kramden.org. K-R-A-M, Mark backwards, D-E-N, Ned backwards, .org. Yes.
Kramden with a K, kramden.org. And if people want to see pictures of what you're up to or support your work or donate or whatever, they can do that there.
It's on the website. It talks about the classes we teach. It talks about all kinds of things.
That's great. Well, congratulations, Mark. That's Mark Dibner, winner of this week's Achievement Award.
Thank you.
Founder of Kramden Institute.
If you've enjoyed hearing the story and you want to share it with your friends, you can find it on our website, eTown.org. And if you know of someone who you think deserves some recognition because of their efforts to better the planet or the lives of others in some way, feel free to send us their story. They could even end up on the air. You can learn what we look for on our website, and if it's a fit, you can submit your nomination there as well. Or you can always write us the old-fashioned way at Box 954, Boulder, Colorado, 80306.
Thank you, Helen. Thank you, Mark. Big fun. Thanks to Ned. We've got more music coming up from Citizen Cope in a little while. Right now, I'm going to tell you about our next guest. A few things about Anna Tivel. She lives in Portland. She put out 3 solo records. She plays guitar and fiddle and sings and has traveled a lot to play music with lots of her friends. And all of that sounds pretty standard, I know. She's a little mysterious, but I can tell you that she's a remarkable songwriter. And as I mentioned earlier, she's got this great gift for detail as a songwriter. She can see and hear and get to the essence of an experience better than most, and then tell the tale and sing it beautifully. So it's a great combination. Really happy that she's here for her first visit. Please welcome Anna Tivel.
In my dream you were beautiful, backlit, noble. In the low light of the window you were leaning on the edge. The high rises and billboards for perfume and call girls. The steam above the dark road, the smoke around your head. And I knew you by description, the tall tales, the pictures, your short hair and your lipstick, the smell of coming rain. And I wanted to remain there, a voyeur, a stranger, below you in the night air, just waiting to be changed. the calm upon your face drawn, revealing next to nothing, a deal you don't believe. And the Bible in a locked drawer, the past you gave it up for, the hymnal and the comfort in exchange for living free. And lined up with the laundry, your slacks and all your stockings, suit jacket and the soft things you dance in when you dream. And the neighbors never mention the woman they see leaving is the man who works the morning shift selling gasoline. In my dream you were stone still, shadowed, half-built, a masterpiece of pure will, just waiting on the world to gaze upon your body, a razor on a rough cheek, a blaze of burning beauty, the saved and the worth saving, a hallelujah waiting to raise the heavy curtain, a play with no good ending, a prayer that never mentioned the glory of the question, and the answer is the same.
Thank you. Hi, Anna.
Hi. I'd like to get Nick and Helen and the eTones up here to join me. I play a lot of shows solo, and I just showed up here and they knew the songs and it was such a treat, so I want to thank all of them for doing this. I'm going to play a song about how some things last and some things go away. The building was burning, the plaster was crumbling. I lost my sense and I ran back inside. The groan of the floorboards and heat spreading under them, billowing smoke in my throat and my eyes. The kitchen ablaze and the wallpaper curling, the table where you and I figured it out. At 2 in the morning, alive and uncertain, just talking in circles, dreaming aloud. And Anthony, I'm afraid, alone in the building, the billowing flame, and I lost my mind, I guess. I thought I knew what forever meant. A crash in the hallway, the photographs falling, the shattering glass like rain coming down. The one of you standing, your hands in your pockets, the look on your face obscured by the sun. And Anthony, I'm afraid, alone in the building, the billowing flame, and I lost my mind, I guess. curtains all black and the bed where I loved you beginning to burn. I open the window where I used to call you. Below in the garden, you're already gone. And Anthony, I'm afraid. Alone in the building, the billowing flame, and I lost my mind, I guess. I thought I knew what forever meant. I thought I knew what forever meant. I thought I knew what forever meant.
Give it up for that great band.
Anna Tivel, welcome to eTown. I have no idea where you come up with these characters. These are just such unusual people who inhabit your songs. Do you come across them in real life and then just report, or are you just making them up whole cloth?
The internet.
The internet, okay.
Just kidding.
So you have a computer. I mean, I'm assuming you've been writing all your life. You've been writing in a notebook or journals or poems or something, right? Since you were a kid, probably.
Yeah, little poems and stuff. I came to songwriting and playing the guitar in my mid-20s pretty late. And
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in a small town in northern Washington called LaConner, kind of near Bellingham,
Yeah.
between Seattle and Bellingham.
I'm assuming you had violin lessons or you were a musical family in some way.
Yeah, my family was really musical. My dad played the banjo, my mom plays a lot of guitar, and my sister played piano. My grandfather played violin and lived with my family when I was young, and I wanted to play so bad. And so I took lessons when I was a kid and did a lot of fiddle stuff,
Yeah.
kind of a mixture of the two.
That's hard to do. A lot of people do one or the other. They either play the fiddle or they play the violin. Although the instrument's the same, the technique and the vibe is so much different that sometimes it's hard for people to cross over.
Yeah.
I know you're a big John Prine fan. I know who are some other songwriters that you adore or respect?
John Prine for sure, and Gillian Welch. I've been listening nonstop lately to David Bazan from Pedro the Lion. Oh man, everything he creates is so brutally honest. And Dylan, love a lot, and yeah.
Can't beat the classics.
Yeah.
Hey, I know one of the songs on your record, you tend to write about these very, very personal, very immediate stories, but there's one on the record that also is a personal and kind of inside look at this experience, but it's about the border, the song called Fence Line. How did you put yourself in the mind of somebody crossing the border, the southern border illegally? How did you put yourself in mind of that person?
I heard a really great interview on the radio with a border guard, and he just talked really openly and honestly about what it's like to be in charge of a stretch of the border. And the part that he was in charge of was just rickety fence line, and he said that a lot of times he would walk along it and fire wire cutters in holes. And he told stories of people that he picked up and had to send back or got to let through, and kind of what their lives were like. And I don't know, it was just right during that time when there still is some really ugly rhetoric, and I just really felt the way that he told really individual stories to help make it seem like more of a human thing. Yeah.
Which it certainly is.
Yeah.
Well, listen, these stories are just wild. The characters are just amazing. So congratulations. And it's nice to meet you. Nice to have
Yeah,
you here.
you too.
Let's
Thanks
get
for
back to
having
music.
me.
Welcome back, if you would, Anna Tivel.
We'll leave you with this song. This is one I wrote for a janitor that I saw sweeping up an old theater last year, singing at the top of his lungs all by himself. And it really moved me. I swept up the garbage, the cups and the wrappers. The theater was empty, the crowd had gone home. A circle of dust in the light from the rafters, the wooden broom handle, a microphone. And I sang to the dark rose, all velvet and empty, the curtain majestic in folds to the floor. I sang so the angels would never forget me, the rush of their robes as they rose up for more. And the night circled in like a dog in the alley, all matted and skinny and face full of hurt. And the theater's still ringing with lost dreams of glory, the echoing voices of some brighter world. And I sang to the mezzanine, the gold-plated ceiling, the orchestra spinning, the bright chandelier. I sang so the angels would feel what I'm feeling, an empty so deep I'm afraid I'm not here. And the last note it lingered, the dust settled round me, a silence so heavy it cut to the bone. And deep in the shadows, the rustle of clapping, I rushed to the back row, still holding the broom. And a man who had crept in, all haggard and dirty, a bag of belongings and tears in his eyes. I'll never forget this, he said as he left me. I needed to hear someone singing tonight. I swept up the garbage, the cups and the wrappers. The theater was empty, the crowd had gone home. A circle of dust in the light from the rafters, the wooden broom handle, a microphone.
Thank you so much.
That's Anna Tivel from Portland, Oregon. The record is called The Question, out on Fluff and Gravy Records. Anna Tivel. Along with the eTones, Christian Teal, Ron Jolly, Chris Engelman, and Helen Forster.
And Nick Forster. Your visit to eTown is made possible in part by the Scientific and Cultural Facilities District, or SCFD, one of the largest cultural funding mechanisms in the United States, supporting nearly 300 organizations in the greater Denver area. If you've tuned in late and you've missed some of this week's program, the eTown podcast will have this episode and others, along with content from past shows as well. It's available for free in Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast directories. You're listening to eTown.
I'm Nick Forster. I'd like to say hello to our listeners who are hearing eTown on stations like WEOS in Geneva, New York, on KENW in Portales, New Mexico, and on KSRQ, Thief River Falls, Minnesota. As always, if you want to find out more about any of our guests this week, or if you want to see photos or especially videos, we've got so many great videos from this show and many others. Lots of stuff is available online at eTown.org. All right, so we learned about Mark and his son Ned's computer refurbishing business. It was a great story with a conscience and a purpose. We let Anna Tivel take us on a wonderful sonic journey through some interesting characters. And we heard a few songs from our friend Clarence Greenwood. Not enough. So now we're going to get some more. Please welcome back, if you would, Citizen Cope.
What you done here is what
Citizen Cope. That's Clarence Greenwood. Vocals and guitar, along with Preston Crump on the bass, Steve Yudayich on keys and guitar, vocals, Jay Nichols on the drums, and Chris Townsend on the keys and the samples. The record is called Heroin and Helicopters. We got time for one more song. I want to thank everybody for being on the show this week. We have had some fun. From Portland, Oregon, thanks to Anna Tivel for coming out, joining us. Great singer and songwriter. Thanks to our award winner, Mr. Mark Dibner, founder of Kramden Institute, along with his son, refurbishing computers for those in need. Kramden Institute. You can find them online. Thanks to the eTowns and Helen Forster. Thanks to Citizen Cope, Clarence Greenwood, his fine band. We always look for a good song that brings everybody together, and this is one that, of course, we couldn't decide whether we liked the Nat King Cole version better than the Frank Sinatra version, but we did. We liked the Nat King Cole version better. Anyway, here's another song for you. I'm Nick Forster. Hope you can be with us next week right here in eTown.
L is for the way you look at me. O is for the only one I see. V is very, very extraordinary. E is even more than anyone that you adore. Love is all that I can give to you. Love is more than just a game for two. Two in love can make it. Take my heart, please don't break it. Love was made for me and you.
eTown's recorded at eTown Hall and produced by our donor-supported nonprofit organization. You can go to our website, etown.org, to comment about eTown, or email us at info@etown.org. Thanks to our family of sponsors, this station, and listeners like you.
L is for the way you look at me. O is for the only one I see. V is very, very extraordinary. E is even more than anyone that you adore. And love, it's all that I could give to you. Love is more than just a game for two. Two in love can make it. Please don't take my heart and break it. Love was made for me and you. Love was made for me and you. Our love was made for me and you.
Clarence, Anna, the band, cast and crew, Helen, all of you guys. We'll see you next time. Thank you.
This is a production of eTown.